tomorrow night, the impacts you need to be ready for and when they're strongest coming back. Hi there. Hey, yeah, so as we head into the next couple of days, we actually have several rain chances. One starting today with that potential for some rainfall, some showers moving through. Then tomorrow, our attention goes to a line of storms that's going to be moving in tomorrow night. Really late into tomorrow night, that line of storms arrives, but we still have a slight risk issued for areas of greater Cincinnati throughout the metro, I-71, 75, and then, of course, an enhanced risk just to our north and west. So that's all with that chance for some thunderstorms that could be strong or severe tomorrow night. At this point, all modes of severe weather are on the table for us tomorrow. Looking at the radar right now over the last couple of minutes, it's been pretty quiet for us around greater Cincinnati. We had some showers that were trying to approach us from the west, but those have fallen apart a decent amount. But we still could see some additional rain moving in here tonight. I think especially north of the 275 loop, we've got the best chance to see some downpours, possibly even hear some thunder out there tonight. Minor impacts with that. Now tomorrow, most of the day is going to be dry. As we get into the overnight time frame between midnight and 5 a.m., that line of severe storms starts to work its way in. At this point, damaging winds, possibly as strong as about 70 miles per hour, look to be our greatest concern, but there is the embedded tornado potential with these thunderstorms tomorrow night. So I want to show you how Futurecast is handling this quickly. Here's 1 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday night into Thursday again. This is going to be tomorrow night into Thursday morning. We've got that line starting to approach, and it begins to move into the Cincinnati metro, possibly around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to show you how long this is going to be around, when we'll be in the clear, and again, lay out the timeline of exactly when you should be most alert and the impacts we feel coming up. Sheree? Likely at this point are severe, moving into the greater Cincinnati area from the northwest. So this is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. Still has vast majority of us under that slight risk for severe weather. Areas far to the north and west still under the enhanced risk. So that's level 3 out of 5 and in level 2 out of 5. And from there, we start to see our threat kind of going down a little bit for areas to the south and east of us under that slight risk. But either way, it looks like tomorrow night we're going to end up with several warnings on our hands, severe thunderstorm warnings, and possibly even tornado warnings for tomorrow night. All those modes of severe weather are on the table for us. Now for tonight, I should also mention there is a chance of some downpours to be moving through the area. I think we're dry for a little while longer. A lot of what was sitting out to our west has started to kind of fall apart. So I'm not anticipating anything anytime soon, but as we get into this evening, we very well could start to see some thunderstorms rolling through here with this complex that's going to continue to kind of develop back out to our west. You actually can see, there it is right there. A severe thunderstorm watch has gone out just to our west. So as we head into the overnight tonight, this evening, closer to about 9 or 10 o'clock, I do think there is a potential for some downpours to move through greater Cincinnati. Most of that should be sub-severe for us here tonight. Tomorrow night, though, into Wednesday morning is when we start to see that line of severe storms moving in, with the primary threat still going to be strong damaging wind gusts, possibly as strong as about 70 miles per hour. But another threat that we are keeping a really close watch on is the potential for some tornadoes embedded within our line of storms. At this point, that is looking like something that could be on our doorstep for tomorrow night. That timeline really starts to kick in around midnight tomorrow, so we have more than 24 hours before this is going to be rolling through. I don't want you to confuse this with tonight. Midnight tomorrow into those early morning hours on Thursday, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So for the next couple hours around here, that potential is there that we have some downpours around the greater Cincinnati area. I do think some thunderstorms will be a possibility tonight, mostly north of the 275 loop, but still we could see some showers or downpours, some thunderstorms moving into areas along the Ohio River as well. But at this point, still looking like north of the loop has the best chance to see tonight's thunderstorm action. For tomorrow, we're looking at a dry day throughout. Then tomorrow night, closer to about midnight or so, we start to see that line of storms moving in here. And as this starts to race into greater Cincinnati, I do think we'll have warnings with it, severe thunderstorm warnings. And as I mentioned, that embedded tornado threat, so some tornado warnings will be a possibility as well. You'll need to have ways to get warnings. And not only that, but warnings while you're sleeping, because this is moving through right between midnight, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So you'll need to have those ways to get those warnings that are going to wake you up as well. The WLWT app will send you those alerts and notifications if you allow it to, that we've got warnings in the area. Closer to about 3 o'clock in the morning, we start to see that line moving into the Cincinnati metro. I don't think you should, generally between 2 and 3 is when it starts to move into the Cincinnati metro and then keeps pushing off to the south and east as it does so. But it looks like it's got plenty of momentum as it's moving in tomorrow. So again, that threat for the strong to damaging winds, possibly up to about 70 miles per hour. That would knock down some trees or tree limbs, and then that embedded tornado threat. And then on top of all of that too, there's also the potential that tomorrow night into Thursday morning, we've got enough heavy rainfall that we're looking at potentially a localized concern with the heavy rain totals. So needless to say, tomorrow's going to be a weather impact day. We've got the mostly cloudy icon because this is going to be moving in primarily overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning, wrapping up early Thursday morning. Storms move in while you sleep tomorrow, the risks these brings and when you should be most alert coming up. Yeah, so going to be busy here in the weather department over the next day or so because we've got the chance of rain tonight, but then we've also got a line of severe storms taking aim at the greater Cincinnati area tomorrow night while most of us are sleeping. This is the latest from the Storm Prediction Center for our outlook for severe weather for tomorrow. So that slight risk still out for a lot of the Cincinnati metro, all of it for that matter. And then areas off to the north and west, you are under the level 3 out of 5, slightly more elevated chance for some of those stronger thunderstorms to roll through areas to our north and west. So for tomorrow, we're looking at that being something that we start to see roll through here closer to about midnight or later. Right now, things across greater Cincinnati in terms of that rain chance, relatively quiet, but we do have a couple of maybe some light showers that are trying to go up just along the Ohio River there. You notice the yellow box, that's a severe thunderstorm watch out to our west that's in effect. Now that's because of these thunderstorms that are starting to develop back out toward Lafayette, areas around Champaign, Illinois. So with that, we are going to see the chance for some thunderstorms to develop here tonight, closer to, I would say, about 6 to possibly as late as 11 o'clock this evening. There is that potential, minor impacts with that. You might hear some thunder, some heavy downpours. For tomorrow night, the impacts are much more elevated. Again, that severe storm threat anywhere from midnight tomorrow all the way through about 5 o'clock in the morning into Thursday morning. So more than 24 hours before this starts to move through. Damaging winds will be that primary threat, but also tornadoes are a possibility. Futurecast walking you through the rest of tonight. That chance for some rainfall, it's there for 6 o'clock, but I'm not really anticipating to see a ton until we get later into the evening. 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight, we've got that chance for some rain. Then we move into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. That's when that strong line of storms moves in. I'll show you how that's looking on Futurecast coming up. Our night as a mean line of thunderstorms starts to move into greater Cincinnati. I'm going to show you the risks that these storms bring, the severe weather potential, and the timeline for when they're rolling out of here coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back.
Nice out there right now, but some changes are moving in and tomorrow could be really rocky.
Yeah, as we head into tomorrow night, while most people are sleeping, the timing of this, not ideal, but we've got a line of issued for areas along 75, 71, Cincinnati Metro as well. Enhanced risk, level 3 out of 5, further off to the north. So that is where our severe weather threat is a little bit more elevated, but at this point, I do think there's going to be the potential for severe weather for the Metro, Kentucky as well. So heading into the next 24 plus hours, we are going to have some pretty active weather heading our way tomorrow night, specifically while you're sleeping. Outside right now, things are quiet, relatively dry. Get a couple of showers trying to go up south of the 71-75 split. Doesn't look like they're having very much luck with that. Areas off to the west, though, west of us, closer to Indianapolis, and then even further west than that, under a severe thunderstorm watch. Not anticipating any severe weather for us here locally tonight. We are going to see some of those downpours and thunderstorms start to work their way in from the west later on this evening, possibly closer to about, I would say, about 6 to 11 o'clock tonight. Those threats look to be some downpours, some thunder, some lightning. As far as tomorrow night's threats are concerned, here's what we're looking at. Still looking like strong wind, possibly gusts up to 70 miles per hour, will be the primary concern for tomorrow night as those storms start to roll through. That tornado threat is there. In fact, it's sitting at a medium right now. I do think that's our second greatest threat compared to the wind, but there's also the chance to see some flooding concerns because some heavy rainfall certainly looks to be a possibility. And if we can get repeated rounds of rain, which at this point it's not ruled out, then I do think we end up with some localized issues in terms of high water. So Futurecast taking you through the rest of tonight. A lot of what you see here just off to our west, I don't think actually kind of moves through. There's still going to be the chance of rain between now and 6, but after that, The chance for seeing some rainfall, some downpours starts to go up a little bit more tonight, closer to about, I would say, 8 or 9 o'clock, especially north of the 275 loop. If you're heading out to the Reds game tonight, at this point, it looks like the game should start off all right, but we'll be watching very closely to see if any of that rainfall starts to work its way closer to the ballpark. For tomorrow morning, we start off dry. In fact, a lot of tomorrow is going to stay dry, but tomorrow night, closer to midnight, we start to see that line of thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. So Futurecast bringing it in closer to about 1 o'clock in the morning. I really think that time frame from about possibly as early as midnight, but 1 to 3, we'll have to watch really closely any of these storms. I think we're going to have a lot of warnings with this, severe thunderstorm warnings, possibly even some of those tornado warnings as well, with that embedded threat for tornadoes within this line of thunderstorms that works its way to the south and east. Here's about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So what this means, this is of course while we're sleeping. So you need to have a way to receive those warnings that's going to wake you up. The WLWT app will send you warning notifications if you allow it to. So that's a good app to download for the next 24 plus hours here tonight and even beyond that too. But we do have that potential for these thunderstorms to be moving through, again, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or so. Definitely something you want to plan ahead for now as we head into tomorrow night. By about 4 or 5 o'clock, you know what? These storms start to move out. They begin to move out of here closer to about 5 o'clock or so. By the time the sun starts to come up on Thursday, a lot of us are actually looking at dry weather, and the rest of Thursday is going to be relatively quiet. But there could be that cleanup factor, especially if we end up with these winds getting up to 70 miles per hour. That's something that'll bring down tree limbs. That's something that could bring down some trees as well. Of course, that embedded tornado threat. Again, that timeline just one more time so you have it in your head. Midnight to about 5 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. After that, we're heading into a weekend where everything starts to clear out for us. Looks great on Friday. Temperatures around 70. A line of strong to severe storms takes aim at greater Cincinnati. I'll show you the threats they bring and when we start to clear out. Well, for the next 24 hours is the chance of some rainfall tonight. Some downpours will be a possibility. Beyond that, tomorrow night, after midnight, we start to see that severe weather threat going up as we see another line of thunderstorms moving in here. That's going to bring us a pretty good chance of some strong to severe storms across greater Cincinnati. At this point for tomorrow overnight, all modes of severe weather are on the table for us. Across the greater Cincinnati area for right now, not anticipating any severe weather for tonight. You may have seen a sprinkle or two if you're down in Kentucky, maybe even a shower south of Dry Ridge, but otherwise it's been pretty quiet for us here so far this evening. We're still watching for the chance to see some of this activity to kind of roll into the greater Cincinnati area here tonight, but I expect that what we end up seeing is that these storms start to weaken as they get closer and closer to greater Cincinnati. Hence the fact that that severe thunderstorm watch does not include anybody in the greater Cincinnati area. So as these thunderstorms start to roll through here, they are going to bring in the potential for a downpour. Some thunder and lightning certainly can't be ruled out, but compared to what we're expecting for tomorrow night is going to be a lot more active. We'll see a line moving in from the northwest. That does bring us a severe weather threat. The SPC still has areas of greater Cincinnati under that slight risk and areas to the northwest under the enhanced risk for severe weather. Damaging wind is the primary threat, but there's also a tornado threat for us tomorrow night. That timeline between midnight tomorrow into Thursday morning. For the rest of this evening, still looks to be pretty quiet for us. We could see that chance for some rainfall, some downpours to move in closer to about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. I'll show you how tomorrow night's Futurecast is looking as we head into what's going to likely be a pretty active night. Ashley, that's going to be moving in here tomorrow night, bringing that potential for severe weather while you're sleeping. I'll show you the impacts that we're looking at for tomorrow, as well as a timeline for when these are going to be most intense coming up in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back.
Be cautious and don't drive into it.
Yeah, exactly. The South has been dealing with a ton of rainfall over the last several weeks, and it looks like they're not catching a break anytime soon. We're also not catching a break in the weather. You may have already seen that sprinkle chance out there. There is going to be the possibility that we see some more rain developing back out to our west. There are some thunderstorms that are moving through kind of central Indiana now. As this keeps pushing to the east, I do think it could bring us some rainfall here tonight. It's likely that up until that, though, we're staying on the more quiet side of things. Not going to rule out the chance of an isolated shower popping up here this evening, but I think for the most part tonight, closer to about 10 or 11 o'clock this evening, we start to see some whatever's left over of these thunderstorms rolling into the greater Cincinnati area. So that's tonight's potential. Not anticipating any severe weather for us here locally for tonight, but tomorrow night's going to be a different story. Storm Prediction Center still highlighting areas throughout the Cincinnati metro and all of our major thoroughfares under at least a slight risk of severe weather. It's level 2 out of 5. We've got the level 3 just to the north and west. So with that, we are looking at a pretty good likelihood of severe storms moving in here tomorrow night. That line moving northwest to the southeast, generally from about midnight to 5 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. So again, this is tomorrow night, midnight or later, that we have that potential for strong to damaging winds. That's going to be the primary concern there. Some of those winds could be up to about 70 miles per hour. Also looking at the potential for some embedded tornadic activity. Tornadoes at this point, not ruled out. Tornado warning, certainly a possibility for tomorrow night. So it's important that you've got multiple ways to receive warnings and loud enough that it could wake you up overnight, because the timing of this, as I mentioned, midnight to 5 a.m., we're in deep sleep at that point. So those warnings need to be something that wake you up in the middle of the night. The WLWT app, if you allow it to send you those notifications, it will do so, and it can get loud if you turn your phone up loud enough. So for tonight, again, looking at the chance of some rainfall moving in here, some downpours, possibly as late as about 10 or 11 o'clock. Up until that point, can't rule out the potential for an isolated shower to develop or downpour to even develop, but tomorrow morning we'll start off dry. Most of the day tomorrow is going to be pretty dry for us. There will be, before the main line of action, a complex of thunderstorms moving through. Right now, it looks like that's going to be north of us, north of I-70, but then closer to midnight, we start to see that line of storms moving in from the northwest. You can see that here in Futurecast. Here's 2 a.m. That line of storms starting to make its way closer to the Cincinnati metro. Again, within this, some winds could be as strong as 70 miles per hour. Looks like this is going to be a really windy event for us. But then also that tornado risk is there for tomorrow night too. Any one of these cells could produce an embedded tornado with it. So that's something else we're going to be keeping a close eye on. And then on top of all of that, heavy rainfall is another possibility, because especially if we end up with some of the rain kind of sitting over some locations, we could end up with some localized flooding issues tomorrow night into Thursday morning. Now, what I'll tell you about Thursday is most of the day actually looks okay. It's still an impact day, primarily because of what's going to be moving through in those pre-dawn hours. Once we get closer to about 7 o'clock in the morning, Thursday, will start to dry out, and the rest of the day looks to be pretty dry for us. But again, that primary concern, the strong winds could be gusting up to 70 miles per hour. That tornado potential is there as well, and then that potential for some flooding, also going to be something that we're keeping a watchful eye on late tomorrow night. So for Thursday, topping out still around 82, early thunderstorms starting to wrap up, heading into the upcoming weekend, looking pretty good for Friday and Saturday, but then by the time we get to Sunday,